Hello and welcome to this tutorial for making Space Invaders with Scratch. We're going to start off by making quite a simple version of the game, and then some of the further videos will take you through adding other features to your game to make it a little bit more advanced and complicated. But we're going to start by just first removing Scratch the Cat, our sprite in the middle there. We can right click him and delete him, and then I'm going to go to the stage straight away and design my space background. So if I just edit the background that's already there, for now I'm just going to fill it black and maybe just put a few stars on there. And that's something you can do at the beginning, or if you want to come back later to add to your artwork, you can do that quite easily. Now that's done, the first job we're going to do is create our cannon sprite, and if you've downloaded the resource folder from the game on Space Invaders page, there's a selection of sprites from the original game ready for you to use there. So if I go to open a sprite, which is the star button with a folder on it there under your game screen, and I'm in the folder there, but I've just saved the folder onto my desktop. So if you download the folder from Game On, put it somewhere on your network where you or your students can get to, and then you can just find the cannon sprite, which is that green one there, and press OK, and that will come in. What you'll need to do is just go to the costume tab once you've imported it and edit the costume, because it'll be surrounded by a black box, which won't show up too much on the background because seems that's black as well. But I recommend that you use the fill tool, and in the bottom right of the colour palette you'll see a white and grey checkered box, and that is a transparency colour, so that will fill in or let you paint with a transparent brush, which in effect kind of rubs away things. So I can fill in the black area and you can see it removes it there and leaves me with just the green cannon. So I press OK, that's on my game now. The next thing to do is resize that so it's an appropriate size. So again we'll right click and choose resize the sprites, and you can grab the little arrow block that appears and just shrink it down, and we'll just place that down near the bottom of our screen. So the cannon in Space Invaders only moves left and right, it's not able to move up or down, it's just limited to the bottom of the screen there. So the next thing we're going to do is make that move, and we're going to use the key controls, the left and the right arrow keys to do that. And we're going to start with the flag block, and we're going to take the block that says forever if and connect that. And in the little hexagon space, in the sensing category, there's the option to add when you're pressing one of the keys in there. So about halfway down the sensing blocks, you'll see a little hexagon shaped block that says key space is pressed, and where it says space, that's referring to the space bar, and if you click the drop down box you can choose from the other keys on the keyboards. So I'm going to choose the left arrow key for this one. And so what that means, when I click the flag to start the game, forever, if I'm pressing the left arrow key, I want my cannon to move to the left, and that can be achieved by using the change X blocks. X is the side to side motion and movement of a sprite, so that can go into the space there, and to make it go left I need to put a minus number in there, and the number you put in will affect the speed of it, so the bigger the number the faster the speed. I'm going to try about 8 to begin with, and I also am going to use the one that's called point in direction, just to make sure it's kind of facing the correct way. So I want to say point to the left as you move to the left. Now I can use the stamper tool at the top of the screen to just duplicate that, because I want to do a very similar thing for the right arrow key. So I'm just going to change where it says left arrow to say right arrow now, and the change X number needs to be, to go to the right, it's going to be positive 8, and point in direction it's going to say to the right. So now when I press the flag to start the game, I can move my cannon left and right. You'll see it's turning over at the moment, and the reason for that is up at the top of the screen there are 3 little buttons next to the thumbnail of your character there, and they determine whether the sprite is allowed to rotate or not. So to stop that flipping over, if you choose the middle of those 3 options, which is just a kind of left and right facing arrow, that will limit it to only be able to face left and right. And I'm just pressing the left and arrow keys there, you can see it sliding along the bottom of my screen. Right, the next thing we're going to do is make the cannon fire a laser, and to be able to achieve that in Scratch you need to create the bullet or the laser as a new separate sprite. So I'm going to paint my own for this one. So clicking on the paint a sprite button, and all I'm going to do is draw a little line with the line drawing tool, try and center it up in the center. Actually, if I zoom out I can make sure that's right in the center of my screen, and simple as that. Press OK. That needs to be shrunk down quite a bit as well, so we can use the arrows at the top, or you can right click it and shrink it down. You might have to experiment with the size of that. I think what I'm going to have to do there is go back to the costume and bring some of the line away. I think I've done it a bit too long there. Let's just make that shorter. Okay. So that's going to be a suitable size now. If we line that up with our cannon, I'll travel up the screen. So we're going to tell that sprite there to kind of follow our cannon around, but it'll be invisible while it's doing that. And when we press the spacebar, it's going to fire that. It's going to make it appear and make it sort of travel up the screen as well. So the instructions to make that happen, back to the control block, we're going to always use the flag at the top because everything in our game is going to start with that flag block. And after that I'm going to take just a normal forever block. And inside that forever block I'm going to say when I click the flag I want it forever to be hidden. So you'll find the hide block in the looks category, and I can click in there. At the same time as being hidden, I want it, as I said, I want it to follow my cannon, which is sprite 1, around the screen. So you've got the option here of this fifth block down in the motion category says point towards, and in the empty drop down box there you should see other sprites that you've already created are listed there. So it says sprite 1. I'm going to click on that. So it says point towards sprite 1, and that means it will only kind of face the way that sprite 1 is moving. So to make it actually keep up with it, we also need to put one of the move blocks in. So as well as pointing towards sprite 1, I'm going to say move, and I'm going to put 30 steps in there. That should be sort of fast enough for it to keep up with the movement of our cannon as we're moving it with the keys. So when I start the game, it will be hidden, it will be following sprite 1 around, basically, sticking with it. Now to make it reveal itself and look like it's firing up the screen, we're going to add an if block, which again you'll find in the control area. Click that underneath the move block, and inside that if space we're going to say when we press the space bar, that's going to be my fire button in this game. So it's already got the space bar in there, I don't need to change that. So if the space key is pressed, I want this red sprite to be showing, so I'll get a show block from the looks category, and I need to tell it how to move. And to make it kind of go up the screen, we've got point in direction here, which we just used with the keys a moment ago, and you've got the option in there for 0 degrees, which means going up the screen, and I also want it to move. And if you put about 50 in there, you should get a good speed of movement. So let's try that out now. If we press the green flag, the cannon is there. I'm just going to stop my red sprite rotating as well. I just noticed it was spinning at the top of the screen. So the cannon's there, and as we press the space bar, if you kind of hold your finger on the space bar, the red sprite zooms up the screen.